Because what Honeywell is basically saying is, those sites, I'm not going to say they're going to be pristine, but you don't know what the status of those sites are. And you could be recontaminating land that could be reclaimed. Is that the goal you have here? Because if you take Honeywell's assumption, if you take, and their supporters in this community, if you take their contention to its ultimate extension, well, why don't you just put up a big sign that says, everybody bring your stuff here and dump it in Camillus. We're a dedicated, willing dump site. All you people in the northeastern United States who don't want to dump your stuff and ship your stuff down into Texas, Camillus understands. We understand what you're going through. And we've got these waste beds here, and we want you to bring all your toxic waste here to Camillus and dump it. You know how much money you'd make? You could turn Camillus into the Greenwich, Connecticut of Onondaga County. You'd be rich beyond belief. You'd be rich beyond belief. All your school teams would win every game. You'd have gleaming new uniforms and shiny new fields, and you'd be the toxic waste dump of central New York. Is that what you want? If Honeywell were to have their way and their supporters were to have their way, what would the difference be? You don't know what the status of those waste beds are now, and you should learn what the status of those waste beds are now, especially waste bed 13, and find out before you dump anything new in there. And I still contend that even if there is contamination in those waste beds, you shouldn't be recontaminating those waste beds and adding to that burden. What's coming out of that, you people who live here now, you're not responsible for this. You moved here, you got married, you had a family, you got a job, you went to school, you raised your kids, and all along behind your back while you go to work every day and try to live your life as decently as you know how and pay your taxes, these deals are being made behind your back. And the people that I blame, and Honeywell, you want to know something? I blame them the least because they're a business. That's what businesses do. They try to make money. And they're going to cut corners and they're going to get away with it any way they can. I blame the state DEC, and I blame those public officials of the town of Camillus and of Onondaga County who allowed this to happen. This is a bad deal for you people because the cost of this, if Honeywell turns around and says, you hold our feet to the fire, we're going to leave, let them go. What kind of corporate citizenship is that if they stay? Because you could lose jobs in this community potentially. Maybe you will, maybe you won't, who knows? Sometimes you call these people's bluff and they don't leave. But on the other hand, you're going to bear the cost of this sooner or later. If there's elevated levels of cancer in this, of soft tissue cancers, which often accompany chemical contamination like this, if there's elevated levels of contamination and cancers in this community, who's going to pay for that? You're going to pay for that. You're going to pay for it sooner or you're going to pay for it later. And what I'm encouraging you to do is you make Honeywell pay for it. If it's going to cost Honeywell more than $450 million to do it the right way and to not recontaminate land that's adjacent to homes and schools and parks and so forth, then that's Honeywell's problem. Don't let Honeywell's make their problem your problem. It's Honeywell's problem, and let's keep it Honeywell's problem. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Alec. I would like to open up for questions now. What we'll do is, I respect everyone has an interesting question to ask. We'll take this in an orderly fashion, and we'll try to keep it brief because we do have a tight time frame. So,
Alec, this group has been trying to raise the profile of this issue for months now, and I think you're helping them to do that today. Tell us a little more about how you personally got involved.
Well, my sister lives here with my mom and her family, and as I said, I've been, when I was told that that finally the litigation phase and the assignment of who was going to pay what amount of money and how that was all going to work out, and then I was in the technology, I was apprised of the socks that they have that they're going to pump full of the chemical contaminant, and then all of a sudden, I mean, it's not like I'm down in New York and this is the primary focus of mine, but my sister would alert me to the fact that they were going to dump this stuff in these waste beds in Camillus, which I thought was wrong.
Okay.
Well, you talked about your family lives in Syracuse, from Syracuse. In moving this to this waste bed 13, is there an impact greater than Camillus? Are other communities going to have to worry about cancers and things like that that we ought to be alerting to other members of the central New York area about?
Thank you.
Yes, I believe so. But we're talking about, chemicals that largely volatilize. Benzenes, chlorobenzenes, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, a host of other chemicals, that xylenes, et cetera, that volatilize.
They were the result of what kinds of manufacturing? What were they doing?
There were a number of things that were being made by Alec Chemical, LCP, that I'm not a scientist, I'm sorry.
Right. No,
Yeah.
I just was curious because
Yeah, nor are we, so I guess, in
But
whatever.
where we're going with volatilization is obviously as it vaporizes, it gets carried on the wind. So where the prevailing winds go are over Camillus, over Gaddis, over Lakeland. I guess potentially you could even go the other direction with wind, because they've shown us charts where the wind goes in all different directions in this area. Of course, as we all know, we live in Syracuse, it's windy. So you could get over Liverpool and even over the city of Syracuse. So there's a number of communities that could be affected.
I think I also wanted to add to what I was saying before, how people in the real estate community, I'm told that there are people in the local real estate community who are concerned about this issue and are leaning toward wanting all this to go away. They're pro the dumping. They're pro putting this stuff in waste bed 13 because they want to get it over with. They believe what they've been told, that it's safe. They believe what they've been told, that it's the right thing to do. They're businessmen and women who certainly don't want to come out maybe against Honeywell, and they want this to go away. Well, I want to assure them that it's not going to go away. If you think dumping stuff in Camillus, in this waste bed, is going to improve the real estate market in this community, you're out of your mind. And one of the goals of groups like this that's going to work on this issue is to make sure that people are reminded over and over again that these waste beds are going to be filled with these contaminants. The real estate community that's in favor of this dumping needs to rethink that and realize that their interests lie in the other way, in making sure that this stuff is not dumped in waste bed 13.
And I'd like to point out that one of the things that we've learned about these chemicals is that these do not break down. They do not have half-lives. So, 1,000 years from now, these chemicals will be as potent as they are now. They're as potent as they are, they're as potent today as they were the day they were dumped. So this stuff does not break down. Next question.
Have you guys put any more research into alternatives? I know in interviewing you guys in the past, you had some ideas. Any more research done on alternatives to solving this problem?
I believe there's been several people have done research into alternatives. There have been several engineers that have commented on alternatives, and several alternatives have been brought to the DEC's attention, so yes.
And I saw you guys hired an attorney. What's the future with that? Any legal action pending? Are you planning anything?
The town of Camillus, the town board hired an attorney. I can't comment on any legal actions that they're considering.
Have you guys hired an attorney? Is there any plans for legal action?
Again, I want to keep our discussion focused on the environment and the human health risks. I'm not prepared to comment on any pending legal activities, whether there are any or not. But thank you. Next question.
Can we actually have Alec come up to the microphone so we can get the sound?
Oh.